the Pac-12 and the Big 12, they're going to go to battle because if one gets 21 and one gets 22, the one that gets 22 is going to absolutely positively 100% let them know about it every single day of the week. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master Football, back at it again. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football and watch plenty of college football content, subscribe to this channel right now. I also do plenty of pro and Madden videos as well. Please hit the red subscribe button. Okay, it's free to you, won't cost you anything, and all it's going to cost you is being up to date on everything EA college football, watching plenty of college football content, basically anything related to football. Just check this channel out right now. It's great. Please hit the like, share, comment, subscribe button, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, now I know that I'm not the only one out there who's thinking about this, but it's just a little too quiet on the conference realignment front. I want to touch on this today. I know we've got some big games coming up. Don't get me wrong. I'll make sure we talk about that in a later video, but I was just thinking about that because I haven't really seen a lot come out recently. I have seen a couple people kind of pop things up here. I had a comment about a Dennis Dodd video a couple weeks ago, I think last week, where I basically said this report could have come at any time, but it came out kind of during a slow season, and everybody's kind of, you can tell that the desire is desperate. I already know this video right here is going to have a lot more views than my previous videos this week. I can guarantee it, just because the desire is there so much. But with that, I think that we're kind of at a little bit of a lull here, and I've got a sneaking suspicion. Here that both the Pac-12 and the Big 12, the two biggest guys on the block that are probably next in line for conference realignment, are both probably going to be disappointed. So I want to include this link in here. And again, my good friend, he's been on this channel before. He's a great guy. Go out there and check him out. I encourage you all to subscribe to his channel. Kuz over there at Kuz's Corner basically said, is Pac-12 expansion dead? There was a couple stories that have come out recently he's going to reference in here. I'm going to reference them too, but he does a really great job of identifying why he thinks that Pac-12 conference or Big 12 conference realignment is kind of at an impasse right now. I mean, you would expand for the sake of expansion, not because there's blood in the water in terms of the other conference, or because you see a definite, an obvious route that you're going to go over in this direction. So he really, really highlights that well. I encourage you all to check that out. The link will be in the description for this video. And a big reason why I think that the Big 12 and the Pac-12 will both be a little upset at this. Now, the cool thing about this right here, this is what Bob Thompson, and he was the person that was referenced in that video before and in the next article we're going to talk about here. But he says, I think the Big 12 gets 10 to 15% more than the Pac-12 on a per school basis. That's just a lot more Rabbit fans in total in the Southwest. Ratings are good, and BYU brings huge following. Remember, that is an international following there. KU and Kansas State ranked. Oh, Texas, no, you aren't. Who would have ever thought? I think that those last two sentences there were just kind of fun to bring up. But at the same time, it's important to remember that, I think that the Pac-12 and the Big 12, they're going to go to battle because if one gets 21 and one gets 22, the one that gets 22 is going to absolutely positively 100% let them know about it every single day of the week up until they get a new deal. But realistically, if you're thinking about that, so that is not a big enough number to jump over. So if you're talking about 15% more, so going from $20 to $23 million a year, that's what we're talking about. That's the difference here. $3 million versus 23 versus 20. Is that big enough to jump? I'm not so sure. And as a matter of fact, it's a number that's not even big enough for the Big Ten, who is flush with cash. So, and again, this right here is Bob Thompson too. So Bob Thompson is throwing shade at the Big Ten, getting Cal, Oregon, Stanford, and Washington to come over to them, because it just doesn't make money sense here. Let's get into this article really quickly here. So he basically comes down here and says that the expansion of the playoff and the fact there are likely going to be automatic bids for a number of conference champions is great for the Pac-12. Yeah, it's great for the Pac-12 because, they're going to have an expanded, easier access. USC and UCLA are out of the conference. Oregon and Washington and even Utah now probably have an easier road to get to the college football playoff. And in that instance, too, there's a big check that comes out to your team. Obviously, the conference is going to get a good chunk of that, too, but the team gets their own chunk of that as well. He says that Thompson does not believe the 4 Pac-12 schools would get a full share of the media money windfall if they join the Big Ten. Only Notre Dame would earn a full share if they become a Big Ten member. The only one that pencils out is Notre Dame, and I don't think that if Oregon and Washington, and even if you throw Stanford and Cal, if they went out there, they're going to get a full share. They'd have to come out as a discount. And he says, and it would be a significant discount, probably not a whole lot more than you're going to get to stay in the Pac-12. That last part is speculation there. But again, if everybody else is getting 85 and you get 60, I mean, that's a huge difference than, I don't know, staying in the Pac-12 and getting 20 or 23, whatever that number is. And looking at this map right here, so what I did right here is I took this map. This is the FBS map. I took out the ACC and the Big Ten and the SEC and the MAC. For the MAC, just for obvious reasons here. But you see the red is going to be the Big 12. The purple is going to be the Pac-12. And then the light blue is going to be like the Mountain West. The blue is going to be the American. Pink is going to be, pink and white are going to be the Sun Belt and the, the Sun Belt and the Conference USA. So with that, we see here that, the red right here is the normal pack, the Big 12. They had the original East expansion. They thought they were going to get out here with West Virginia. It never really materialized. And now they're talking about, the big one they're talking about is the four corner schools. So we're talking about Arizona, Arizona State. I think I got those the opposite way. Colorado and Utah coming over. That's a pretty easy transition over here. Now, if you think about USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten, remember here, LAX has flights direct to basically anywhere in the Big Ten. For the most part, it's pretty easy out there. So they're going to integrate pretty easy. However, Washington and Oregon and Stanford and Cal would have a little bit more difficult time coming over. It might not make sense. So if you think about that, if it doesn't make sense for a league that's potentially going to be paying out members 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 million dollars, I can't imagine that somebody would leave the Pac-12 for the Big 12 over $3 million. I just don't see it. So I don't think that we're going to see anything like that. And again, I know I'm a complete homer here being a Boise State fan, but there's a couple of names that were furious, absolutely furious at the beginning of this Big 12 and Pac-12 expansion talk. And those teams are SMU, South Florida, Boise State, and then Memphis, because at the same time, the Big 12 wanted to move west, and they were the four that were named, they were the next four in the conference expansion talks: Boise State, Memphis, SMU, and South Florida. They have since gone away from that. So if you're thinking about that, the big winners from this whole situation right now, the big winners from this stagnation, for lack of a better term, the big winners, obviously, still San Diego State is still the prettiest girl out there. It's in Southern California. They're still doing pretty good. They've got new Snapdragon Stadium. It's San Diego. It's a big market. It doesn't have an NFL team, doesn't have any other pro team other than the Padres. So it's a really, really good market to go out to. Boise State is not as good of a market, and I know, again, everybody's going to give us the crap because we lost to UTEP. I understand that. Still a solid brand out there in conference realignment as named by the Big 12 previously. I think that Memphis is one that's going to be, they're definitely hoping here. If the Big 12 conference wants to get a bigger library of content, they can come out here and remember, they can add South Florida for Central Florida, make travel easier for them. Memphis would integrate pretty easy with the rest of the Big 12. Boise State would be a little bit harder. Now they are close to BYU, so that would be not too bad for them. And Boise State's pretty used to traveling across the country. BYU especially used to traveling across the country. So the same four names that were listed before and San Diego State are still up for grabs. I think that despite the fact that I think the Pac-12 thinks they're going to get Big 12 teams, the Big 12 thinks they're going to get Pac-12 teams, if the difference is $3 million one way or the other, I can't see why they would leave, considering the fact that the Big 10 is, there's apparently, some conversation out there, Bob Thompson saying that they wouldn't leave, considering it might be 20 versus $60 million. And again, I think he might be a little shortchanging the Big 10 contract there in terms of what it would pay out or things like that. But that's just where I'm at, man. I don't see it happening. And I think that the G5 schools are going to benefit from this stagnation. All right, guys, get in the comments right now. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think my numbers are way off? Do you think Bob Thompson is way off? Do you think that Coos is way off? Or do you agree with them? Get in the comments right now. Let me know what you guys think. And as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I appreciate it. That's it for me, and I am out.